Good people, welcome to podcast number 5. I got my
look
numbers.
at you. You actually knew which one it was.
I got my numbers right. That's the number I wore when I used to play ball. So
wasn't any good.
We
You got to
out here.
remember what number you had.
You know what it is out here, family.
Wasn't no good.
You can't guard me.
You wasn't good.
Shout out to the sponsors, thedrumcoaches.com.
Listen.
Lifetime memberships. You pay once, you're a member forever. You might as well come on over because, I mean, we have over 200-something lessons on the site. Over 200 on the site. Plus, we're uploading every Sunday. What can I say? Or at least I'm uploading. We don't know what this guy's doing. I'm running the DrumTrax app as well. That's a free app where you can have all the play-alongs that I made.
I don't even think they know that you don't even believe that. But yeah, he's right. The DrumTrax app, free app, download it. Bunch of tracks, over 100 tracks on the app. I'm uploading new tracks to the app every week. You can stream them for free. Pretty soon we're working on being able to download them from the app. Got some things in the works, but yo, download the app. If you haven't already, download it. It's free. If you have, check for the update because there's been an update on the app. You can download it to your from the App Store. It's all good.
And also for those of you who don't want to sign up for memberships, I don't know why, but you can. I mean, come on, bro. We've been out here working hard. Like,
listen,
sign up for the membership. It's one-time payment.
It's good.
You feel me?
I feel it.
It's one-time payment, man.
I'm not mad.
But you can download the Shed Camp. It's a one-time payment as well, but you have it forever. Download that. We also part of shedcamp.com.
That's our hand speed camp. Like it's a boot camp
with Enrique
More
Signature.
That's Eric More II. Real talk. If you go through that, there is absolutely no way that you will not be a faster drummer around the kit. If you actually do the work, follow the instructions, follow the workout calendar, do the workouts. It's what, 20, 30 minutes a day? That's it. Really 20, 25 once you skip past the beginning of the talking and all the explanation. Once you get right into it, it's really only 20 to 25 minutes. And
day.
It's
which kind of leads us into our topic, which is focused practice.
Yeah.
That's today's topic. There's been a struggle in my life when I was coming up where I did a whole bunch of practicing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't effective because I wasn't focusing on what I needed to be practicing on. So really it wasn't practice. It was just rehearsing what I already knew how to do, which you still need to be able to do that. Like you got to strengthen your strengths, but wasn't working on no weaknesses.
Right.
Didn't have any, I couldn't zone in on a certain thing. So it's like, if I'm working on 7/8, I would kind of start spazzing and doing things in 4/4 where it's like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You're supposed to be working on this 7/8 groove or 7/8 solo, or maybe it's a 7/8 song with your band. Don't press pause and then go, okay, I just want to get this lick out real quick. And
no, for real.
You got to stay focused.
Yeah.
So when you was coming up, since I'm usually the one that always asks the questions, what was your practice routine when you first started playing the drums?
I literally, when I first started playing the drums, didn't really have a practice routine. When you grew up playing in church, you just have a ton of songs to learn. You have grooves that you need to be able to play because there's certain groove patterns that are in a lot of songs, right? So, you got the church cat that you got to be able to play.
Come on. I almost got up and danced.
And then you got to be able to go from that to making it sound more mature. So there's other things that happen inside of that groove that make it interesting. So of course, we played those things over and over. And then learning new songs always had us learning different kinds of grooves because in gospel music, it's not all just one thing. There's a bunch of different genres being fused together in this thing. And then there's the gospel element of it that's just church. You know what that is. But like when I practiced, when I was young, I didn't really have a routine. Well, I take that back. I did have a routine. Okay. My routine was to take there was a couple of gospel records that I really loved when I actually started practicing, and I would take one of those recordings and play the entire recording front to back twice. So I would
Can you name any of those recordings, or have you forgotten them
all? No, I remember them.
Just name one. You ain't got to go
like
down
the Kimbrell Live in Concert album that came out in 2000. I was like 14 years old, and when somebody had dubbed the tape and gave it to me, and I listened to it, and of course, like most musicians, we were all like impressed with what was happening.
Who was the drummer on that?
There was two drummers. There was
go ahead and
Calvin
testify.
Rogers.
Come on.
And I don't know why his name is I'm Sput. Robert Sput Seawright.
Bishop Seawright.
They was on that recording, and I
Did you, when you practiced that, did you just play what you wanted to play, or did
No,
you try
I
to
actually
mimic?
listened. I was trying to mimic everything that they were doing. I listened. I knew every hit to every hi-hat sing, like oh, I know at this time he does this hi-hat thing here. He never does it again in the song though. I know at this, but I know that they weren't thinking about it like this. They were just playing. But I was trying to learn every nuance of what they were doing because I just love the song and I listened to it so much that I guess it's like a form of transcription, transcribing their grooves, their patterns, and
All by ear?
all by ear. And I just sat there and I played. When I say I did it every day, like
So you didn't
for
have
a year,
You didn't have
2
like
years, 3 years.
big homie at the church that kind of showed you
No.
like this is what everything was
No.
all you just figured
I was
it out.
I was by myself on my own figuring it. Like no,
So what about people out there who feel they can't hear it?
like it's hard to like.
Like how do you,
if you feel like you can't hear it and you of course continuing to listen and your ear will mature, and everybody learns different. So for me, when I heard it, I was able to pick it up and be like, oh, he's playing this kick drum pattern. I didn't know that those were kick triplets on the kick right there. The way he was playing them, I just knew I need to do that. And so that's how I learned. And I would practice it over and over and over and over and over every day until all of a sudden I was doing the things that I was hearing on the recording and playing some of the licks and playing in that style, or all of them. And that's how I learned. And I did that on another record when I listened to the John P. Key Not Guilty record. When I got a hold of that, the entire record though, and that was a double disc, and I would play
every day,
twice
a day. It had to be an hour and a half of music. Or
Probably. Well, the double disc may have been long.
2 hours.
No, it was like an hour and a half, hour and a half.
So you putting in 3 hours if you play it from start to finish twice. If
Yeah,
it's an hour
that's
and a
what I
half,
was. That's
3 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. The slow songs and everything. And
You didn't skip a track.
on the Not Guilty album, I might have skipped a couple tracks because there was a couple songs where I was like, yeah, it's not very interesting. But like the majority of it, and then on the but on that Kimbrell Live in Concert, it was every song except for the song. I think it was the last song on the no, it was a song before the last song because the last song was Victory, I believe, and it was a song before the last one.
Yeah.
That I didn't.
So if
I
Kim
skipped
Burrell
over that
comes to town today and she needs a drummer and she does that song, you can play it right now.
If they do it like that record, absolutely.
Well, how long has it been since you practiced that record?
It's been a long time since I practiced it, but I listened to it in the gym the other week, and I almost got off the Stairmaster. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was warming up on the stairs, and I was like, "Yo, I don't know what's happening in here, but I feel my help, huh?"
You felt the Holy Ghost.
Oh my God,
Brother
today.
Star, you almost ran around the gym.
Oh.
It's like, I feel something. Something is about to happen. There's a
Listen,
shift.
in the listen.
My
I looked
God,
over at the
on
person
today.
who was on the master next to me, and I said, "Lift your hands, huh? He is here, even now.
His presence is in this place.
Yes, take off your shoes because where you stand, huh?
Well, see, I've actually
Is
taught
holy ground.
I've taught some students where when they listen to the album or the record, whatever song it is, they'll come in and they'll give me their interpretation, and they think they're playing it right.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. So how would you encourage people out there who think that they're I know what I would do, but what would you do to encourage them to say, hey, listen, you got to get better. You got to know that what you're doing is wrong. How can they decide, or how can they tell that they're even playing it wrong because they think they're right?
Right. I mean, I went through that. Like, I remember when I was playing to the records that I was talking about, because that was my routine of practicing these songs over and over and over because that's what I loved. And I felt like if I could do what they're doing, I can apply this to other songs and apply this to, and I thought that I was doing stuff right until one day we played a song. Because there was another record I like to practice too. It was called You Can Tell the Devil I'm Back by Bishop Larry Trotter. It's another gospel record that I practiced to a lot on drums back in the day. Well, my church ended up doing one of the songs from that recording, and I actually played that song, and it didn't happen for me the way that I thought I had it. And I was like, yo, but when I'm playing this with the recording, and that's honestly was the big part of what those type of experiences is a big part of what made me want to start making drumless play along tracks. Because if I had that song without the drums in it, then I would have been able to practice and really tell if I had it down without relying on the timing and the feel of the drummer that was on the record that was really anchoring everything else.
So they need to download the DrumTrax app for free so that they can play to drumless play-alongs.
Listen, they already know that though.
I mean, do they? Do y'all know? Okay, we'll move.
I mean, it's free. But at the end of the day,
so you're saying that the drummer was a crutch then?
Yeah, it became a crutch. It gave me the idea, the inspiration, and I got to do it along with them. It's like if you're, for lack of a better example, you're in church and you see people that are singing in the choir. If you've ever been to a choir rehearsal, you'll notice that there are like a couple of strong singers in a certain section. So let's say you're in the tenor section. You got a couple of strong singers, and you got a couple of singers who need those tenors, the strong ones, to sing so that they can hear that note and blend on it. But if they're singing by themselves and these tenors aren't singing, they're going to lose their note. It was that kind of thing on the drums where, okay, as long as I'm playing along with the record and the drummer's playing on the record, I do have it. But then
the second you ain't on,
soon as he not there, and it's for me to keep the time, and I'm gonna play all these licks and land and the nuances of everything.
Y'all didn't have a click growing up.
No. Clicks. But
You sounded like you wanted to explain it, and then you just said no. Just no. We're not even gonna get into.
No, you didn't have clicks. The time
There was
just
no click.
if they felt like the time was fluctuating, you were just getting kicked off the drums. But
that part.
what ended up happening though over time, because I did focus on these recordings and focus on practicing this certain style of playing by learning these songs and what the drummers were doing on these songs over and over and over and over and over again, the improvement over time people began to notice that I was growing over some of the drummers who had started playing before me at the church that I grew up at. And it wasn't because they didn't play. I mean, I don't know if they practiced at home. They may have, but what I was doing was like, I didn't know I was regimented in this approach. I just was. I was just having fun because it was super fun for me to do this and play these songs, and they were exciting for me to play. And I could imagine that I was on some huge stage or at some whatever, playing these intros and outros and the songs and all the changes on all these different albums. So, I mean, that was really my routine, but I didn't even know, like, just talking about it now, realizing, I was transcribing, and I sat with the same records for like years at a time.
Years. So you got to put that in there. So people want this microwave skill. They want it to happen right now.
Right.
Like, I practice. I've been going hard for the last 30 days. It's like, not practice like you're practicing, and then see me in 6 months, or see me in 7 months, or see me in a year, see me in 2 years.
Right.
Because that's how long it's going to take for you to see some sort of difference. And really, if you record yourself, listen to yourself back, like record yourself in 2016, record yourself 3 months later. I like to record myself every day, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you, as a family member, you don't think you've gotten bigger, but when you see this person a year later at the Christmas event, your family members like, oh my gosh, you done grew up, like I can't believe it. Oh, you got you got peach fuzz on your chin, like, oh my God. And to you, you're like, I'm still the same person.
Right.
So that's what it's gonna feel like on the drums. You're gonna feel like I ain't getting no better. I'm not getting faster, I'm not getting stronger. My groove, it sucks, my left hand is weak. But if the person who's not there, like another musician who's not in your practice room at all times, after a year or so, the piano player is going to start giving you looks, or the bass player or whoever. They're going to be like, okay. Sometimes the singers, they'll notice it, like, hey, listen, I don't know what you've been doing,
But it feels better.
it feels great.
I think
today.
that goes. I think the best way to really make that happen in your mind when you're practicing and understanding that is to not make the goal actually getting better. Just make the goal to practice consistently. So if you practice that day, then you've won. That is the actual goal. Because if you practice every day, you will get better. It's an inevitability.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, make your goal just to practice and let the chips land where they may.
Well, that's kind of hard because, not for me, but for some of my students, they say, well, but what do I practice?
Right.
And
Well, I mean,
that's where
that question all depends on what you're trying to get better on.
Now it's time to get deep, Doc.
There's
Go ahead.
absolutely
Call
no
it.
way you're going to get great at everything. Now, in that time that I practiced the recordings that I was playing and practicing, I got good at certain things. I didn't get good at everything. If someone asked me to play some hybrid rudiment on a drum pad, or play it around a drum kit, or just play it at all, you weren't going to get that from me. But
Just play it. It don't matter where it's at. Just play it. I'm like,
I don't even know at that point in my life, I didn't even know what you were talking about when you said hybrid rudiment. Yeah. But if you wanted me to play a gospel song and be able to maneuver around changes, hits, go up and down dynamically. That's what I was practicing. So you got to understand that you're not going to be, you can't practice everything. You'll get good at nothing. And this is another thing that I always have said. We've talked about this before, even some years ago. None of your favorite drummers that we consider like legends, none of them are known for being great at everything.
Talk about it.
None of them.
Not a single
one. You can talk
one.
about the legend Buddy Rich. He is not a legend because he was the greatest funk drummer on the planet.
Will you preach?
You can talk about, but he was a legend. He was an amazing jazz player, and he was a legend. He is a legend for a good reason. When you talk about Steve Gadd, he is not a legend for playing incredible drum solos and wowing you with stick tricks. That's just not what he did. But he is a legend, nonetheless, for what he was amazing at. He was very innovative with what he was doing. It's just like no one person is amazing. There's people who are really good at everything, at a lot of things, but no one is like the best at everything. So I feel like you just have to decide what it is you're actually trying to get better at and focus on that and understand that, yeah, if you're working on hand speed, you may not be getting better at independence at the same time. Or if you're working on independence, you may not be working on becoming fast as Chris Coleman around the drum kit. Like it's you can't.
And also like one of our earlier podcasts of if you're working on this jazz world and becoming really great at jazz,
right,
then your gospel's probably not going to be as great, or your rock's not going to be as great because you're so in tuned into that culture,
right?
And it is a culture that you have to be in tune to,
right.
And every genre really. Like if you want to get great at reggae, you're going to have to practice a whole lot of reggae,
right?
Which means you're probably not going to have the craziest jazz chops because
unless you've already put in time to get an incredible amount of jazz chops, and then you go into another world. When you come back, you'll have to brush up again because you've been away. Yeah. But you'll still have the foundation of it there. So I mean, like, you can't do it all at the same time. No, you could take sections of your time or sections of your life and focus on getting great at certain things. So that's why, like, it's good to know how to play grooves of all sorts in all genre types. But when we're actually talking about becoming great, being really good.
Well, listen, I'm gonna interject there, okay? I'm gonna give y'all some real talk, okay? If you really want to be great and good, you got to not be so distracted. The number one thing that is distraction to most musicians, even me at times, social media. You got to get off of Instagram. You got to get off of YouTube. You got to get off of Facebook. And it's hard. It's addicting, especially if you're watching the field you're in. Like some people watch it for inspiration. So you're on YouTube watching all these great drummers smash, kill, but those great drummers are not watching you, right? They're actually practicing, and you're watching them, which it's a fine line. You got to find the balance of, watch it to be inspired, also watch it to try to learn some of the things. Right. But if you're spending more time on your phone than you are on the kit, there's no possible way for you to get better. You got to get off social media. Like LeBron James during playoffs, 0 dark 30, turns his phone off. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you got to do that because he turned it off like he ain't answering phone calls, text messages. You ain't got to go that far. But you have to realize, oh, you know what? I've been on the gram. I've been scrolling for 10 minutes. And then that 10 minutes turned into 15, and 15 turned into 20, and 20 turned into 30. But the original idea of getting on the ground was, I'm just going to check it real quick. Right. I'm going to be on there a couple minutes. Right. But that 2 turned into 10, turned into 15, and 20, and 25, and 30. For sure. And so you have to let go of those distractions on your phone. And, of course, there's always that elephant in the room for you musicians out there. Let go of some of those other websites. Y'all, hey.
Where you going with this one?
Bishop, listen, okay? So it's $1 billion business a year.
For a reason, right?
For a reason.
You start off with the metronome app and you end up somewhere else, right?
Because most of these people, you're on the gram. Yeah. You're not just following drummers. You're not just following musicians, piano players, and the Corey Henrys of the world. You're following that Instagram model who tends to show a little bit more, and then you get a little excited. So you scroll on over, distracted. You go ahead and go into your saved, bookmarks that you have on the internet. You bookmark this little website here, scroll down, watch, and it's just like being on YouTube. So when you go to some of these other websites, that's what we're going to call them, other. It's just like being on YouTube where you have this video you're watching, right? And then on the side or below or above, it has suggested videos.
Okay, listen. I think,
and then they have the title. So check it. Like when you watch YouTube, you got all right, Chris Coleman killing on drums, bro, Nam, right?
Yeah.
Then to the side of that, it goes Thomas Pridgeon
Right.
killing on Nam. Then Eric killing on Nam. So it's so on and so forth. Like, oh, I got to see his. Oh, I got to see his. Oh, I got to see his. Then you go to the other websites.
same thing.
Same thing.
Listen,
this person is killing on.
Oh,
You know.
listen.
But also this one is over here.
And next thing you know,
My.
your whole practice session has been used up, and then you send an email to the drum coaches saying, "I just don't have time to practice." Listen,
better
turn off Netflix,
Bro.
turn off the social media and them other websites. Listen, I wonder if if there was a real anonymous poll just for drummers of how much time they spend on them other sites. That they could, like, if you just evaluate
Preach.
how much time you spend on them other sites and you
Brother.
allocated that time alone to practicing the drums.
Just practice. Trust. Because, I mean, honestly, it's not even real. It's a false reality. Y'all got to leave it alone. Listen, we didn't come here to preach to y'all, but
oh, my goodness.
listen, you know what you're doing. You know who you are. Don't sit here and act like you just all saved and sanctified. I ain't never looked at family. Come on now.
You know what's up.
You know what's up. They're making $1 billion a year, Brody, from clicks. Okay, from clicks.
Oh my goodness.
All them sites, but it's like
Listen,
we said, it's
just cut out that time and use that time to practice. You will get better. I promise you.
You will. I mean, you'll have an extra hour every day. But not only that, listen, I got some friends.
Oh my goodness.
You got some friends that can't balance their video game life. Some of y'all on video games, y'all on the Madden, you're on the 2K for too long. I'm not saying don't play it. I don't play video games.
Online. It's like 45 minutes to an hour a game.
Period.
You got to run like 3 or 4 back to back.
No, bro. You play one game. You play one game and call it.
Listen,
I don't play video games anymore because I was an addict to it. I said, yo, I would play for like 10 hours straight. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go cold turkey. You don't have to. You don't have to go cold turkey, but dial it back. Spend your time on the drums.
Yeah, I mean, in focus practice is actually more effective than practice that's not focused for longer periods of time. So if you had 20 minutes of actual focus practicing, knowing what you're actually trying to work on to get better at, versus an hour or 2 hours of practice that's not focused and you don't really have a vision of what you're trying to get better at, that 20 minutes is more valuable. Because in your hour and a half, you will probably have only really practiced for 10 minutes. That's just the way it works. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you're trying to have a focused practice, you got to first start with knowing what you want to get better at on the drums. You have to decide that. And once you decide and you also have to know how long you have to practice. So you can create a practice regimen or routine, or at least sections of your practice so you know what you're working on in each section based on the time that you have to practice. Know what you need to practice or know what you're trying to get better at. Then you create a routine based around what you're trying to get better at, depending on how much time you have. So then you got to have the discipline to see it through and the patience to wait it out, because it's going to take time. I think the saying that
long time.
I said in one of those videos, it's discipline, practice plus the discipline plus patience will get you to the skill. It's just what it is.
Because we're still learning now. Like,
listen, people ask me what my New Year's resolution is every year, and I tell them it's discipline every year, because without it, nothing else is going to come.
I would say for me, discipline in all aspects of my life helped me be disciplined in the drums. Like, I just became a disciplined person. So little stuff, like when you get out of bed, make it. Go brush your teeth, those type of things. When your clothes come out the dryer, fold them. That helped me. Doesn't help everybody, but that's something that worked for me, where I was like, I'm going to be disciplined in everything that I do. Like, I'm going to make sure that whatever goal I set, even if it's a small goal, when I go home, ain't going to be no dirty dishes. I get it done. And that translated over into the drums, where it's like, okay, when I get here, I'm going to tune my snare. I'm going to set it down right here. I'm going to have the kit set up like this. And today I'm working on my grooves in this type of 6/8 feel or whatever, or 7/8, whatever it is. I'm gonna work on my 6/8 grooves, and that's what I'm doing today.
Right.
And then from there, I'm gonna work on my 6/8 fills. Then I'm gonna go 6/8 fills into the grooves and back and forth. And it's like, today is a 6/8 day, or if you have more time, you can do more things, but depend on your practice schedule. Some people only have an hour. Some people, like you said, only have 20 minutes. You just gotta.
But if you focus on that,
focus the right.
And another thing for people who need to be able to see the results, you want to track it. Film like the last 2 minutes with your smartphone. Film the last 2-3 minutes of your practice or whatever you're doing.
Well, hopefully the smartphone compresses the drums.
Well, listen,
because if they have
film it. Everybody,
if it don't sound good, it's
film it.
The iPhones work cool.
Film it,
and
then do it every day, and then wait for 30 days to watch it again. You'll see the improvement if you're consistent. That discipline, consistency, and that patience together. You can't lose, brother.
You can't lose.
Or sister.
Well, that's a good note to end on, right?
I feel good about it.
Let's not talk their ear off. I mean,
listen, before we go, we got to remind you guys, we actually do have a band together called Mino Yancy. We've been playing music.
You got to say it at the beginning, bro.
I know, but we saying it right now.
Not everybody finishes the videos.
Listen, that's okay. For the people who did.
Listen,
for all three of y'all who finished the video, you guys are y'all are the real MVP. Go listen. Our EP is on
everything:
Bandcamp, Spotify,
SoundCloud,
iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. Mino Yancy.
MINOYANCI. There's links in the description.
Everywhere. Go on, check it out.
Give us those streams, Doc.
We starting the YouTube channel too, so that's gonna be in the description. Go on, click in the description and subscribe to our band. Check out what we're doing outside of the Drum Coaches, the music that we're making, the dream that we're trying to create. So
that's it.
That's it, man. Till next time, family.
We out of here, man.
Peace.